Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my review of the EMG DL63, a very cute little reverse panda chronograph from the brand EMG. Now, this is the second piece I've reviewed from EMG. I looked at their Nemo when it was in the prototype phase earlier on last year. Now, they have got a great story. It's three guys who met on Watch You Seek and decided to start their own microbrand. One of them is in Hong Kong, one of them is in the States, and the other one, the lucky one of course, he's in Glasgow in Scotland. Derek and I met him there in November last year when I physically picked up a Nemo prototype from him, brought it back to Sydney for review. Now, there is a rumour that not only have these three guys not actually ever met each other, they haven't actually ever spoken to each other. All of their communications, they're now about 3 or 4 years into this microbrand experience, have been done on email. They don't even know what each other's sound like. Anyway, today I'm going to review their DL63 column wheel chronograph, a really interesting and very attractive looking movement, little seagull movement in the back of this one. Now, they're taking pre-orders for a revised version 2 that is available in June or July this year, the next couple of months anyway. I've got the old one to show you, so you're going to have to use your imagination here a little bit. There's a couple of key upgrades that they've made to the Mark 1, which they'll add to the Mark 2. But most of the watch is similar, so it's still a valid review. Alright, let's flip the camera and have a look at it. So a fairly plain black cardboard outer box today, hopefully containing a much more interesting little chronograph watch here with a great story behind it, as noted in the intro from EMG. Wooden box here, but again, no branding on it. This is a rather old watch. As noted, they're launching a new model, like in a version 2, so perhaps they've done something with the packaging. It's not all that flash or fancy for your $400 US, if I'm being honest, but the watch is very attractive to look at. Let's get some close-ups. So all the usual good stuff today then. We'll do dimensions and specifications, we'll get it on wrist. It does have a smidge of lume on the dial, so I'll show you what that looks like. We'll take it outside and we'll get a look at a gorgeous Sea-Gull column wheel chrono in the back of this bad boy. So 42 millimeters in diameter, thickness of around 13.5 millimeters. Lug tip to lug tip though, a crucial dimension on how a watch wears, is only 48 mil. So I think a good choice. That is relatively compact for a 42 mil diameter pilot's chrono. 22 mil lug width, tapering all the way down to 17. So there's a pretty drastic taper on the leather strap, which again I think helps this wear like a smaller watch. On the supplied rally style leather strap, these come in a bunch of different colorways. I will obviously leave a link in the description of the video. You can check this one out yourself. This one weighs in at 70 odd grams. So not a bad weight considering it is a mechanical chronograph movement. And a gorgeous movement it is too. It's not often that I pretty much open a review by looking at the back of the watch rather than the front. I tend to start on the dial and work my way backwards, but I think in this case it's appropriate to start with the see-through caseback shot of this movement. So this is a Sea-Gull ST1901. Now this one used to be a Swiss movement. The Chinese bought the machining and the rights to it off the Swiss in the 1960s. They first produced it as a Sea-Gull movement in 1963, hence the Sea-Gull 1963, which has been reissued relatively recently. I bought and sold a 1963 for reasons which I will discuss shortly. So column wheel chronograph, 21 joules running at 3 Hertz. Manual wind, if you give it a full wind, it'll run for about 45 hours if you use the chrono and about 50 hours apparently if you don't use the chrono. Some nice detailing there. The screws are blue rather than blued, but it's certainly an attractive movement considering the relative complexities of it for the price. So one push of the top pusher. I wouldn't normally engage the chrono from the rear either. One push to stop and one push to reset. All fascinating to watch. If you're into the mechanics of watches, these ST19s are very, very interesting movements. So a screw down caseback, giving this one 30 meters of water resistance. This watch is essentially a reskinned Sea-Gull 1963. It's the same movement in the same case, the 42mm diameter case. Now, one key feature of the new model EMG that the Sea-Gull 1963 does not have is a swan neck regulator. Obviously this is the old model, but there will be a swan neck. Use your imagination, there'll be a swan neck regulator there. If you do need to adjust this movement, that should help make it easier. But let's hope you don't need to regulate it. Let's see how this one's running. +8 seconds a day, that's a pretty good result for a basic manual wind chronograph movement, especially at this price. I'd be reasonably satisfied with that, 0 beat error and a fairly healthy amplitude. Nice! So that was slightly unorthodox, starting with the back of the watch. Let's get back to the front. Now they do two of these DL63s, they do a Panda, and they do this one, the reverse Panda, so white dials against a black background, and there's just a touch of blue there, helping you make a bit more sense of the 30-minute chrono timer. As you can see, there's a tachymeter markings around the outside of the bezel. Again, I'll just fire that one up for you, but nice and clear and legible. Printed dial, EMG logo, DL63 and 21 joules, and we have applied indices on the hours. Now there is a touch of loom on these hands. I'll pop up a brief loom video. The loom is notional. There's not an awful lot of it and it doesn't last a huge amount of time, but obviously any loom is better than no loom, so there is a bit of practicality. Talking of practicality, this one features a mineral crystal. However, the new ones, which you are actually able to pre-order now, feature a sapphire crystal. So a big upgrade and a welcome upgrade on the previous models with the mineral crystal. So the subdial at the 3 o'clock is the 30-minute chrono timer, and the subdial at the 9 o'clock is a permanently ticking seconds hand. Once again, one push to stop, one push to reset. All pretty standard chrono stuff. Case finishing is pretty simple, high polished sides and brushed to the bezel and brushed to those lugs. Again, that's the only difference that I can spot really in the case finishing anyway between this and the Sea-Gull 1963. Now there is a padlock on the crown. Why, you ask? Because one of the three owners, Eric, is Eric Goodlock, so they added a padlock in reference to his surname. Again, just another quirky little feature of this interesting little watch. The strap is okay, nice texture to it, fairly simple rally style, unbranded, but it does have quick releases, so if you do want to swap it out for something else. 22mm lug width as noted, so you've probably got one or two of those lurking in a drawer somewhere, and it actually features quite a nice, fairly stout looking EMG etched buckle and tang in all brushed to match the bezel and the lugs. And there it is sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist. Now, when I first tried this one on, I then had to look at the spec sheets to realise it was a 42. I think it wears very, very nicely for a 42. 22mm lugs, but the big taper means it really does look pretty good, pretty well proportioned on wrist. 48mm lug tip as noted. I've got 7-inch wrists, and I think this one spot on, nice and legible as a consequence as well. And zoomed out higher, again, not lacking in legibility. I do like this reverse Panda look. Variety of different strap choices available. I think you can get it in black and 2 different shades of brown, either with white or black stitching, and there's a cost option extra. You can have a cork rally style strap as well if that's your bag, for another $25 US on top. So taking it outside, and it's still nice and easy to read in some natural light. Again, as noted, this one is shifting from mineral to sapphire. I'm not sure whether there's going to be AR coating on that or whether that will affect the legibility, but I doubt it. That's it on wrist. Bit of curvature to the lugs. It does wear very, very well. As mentioned, I owned a 1963 myself. I bought it about 3 years ago, sold it about 1 year ago. I went for the 38mm with the acrylic crystal because it was allegedly truer to the original, and I was too paranoid to wear it out the house because of the acrylic. So the sapphire crystal on this one is a welcome addition. Moans and niggles. Well, I only have one. I think this is a nicely done little watch. The addition of sapphire crystal, swan neck regulator doesn't bother me particularly either way, especially not if this runs within plus or minus 10 out of the box. Sapphire crystal I think is a definite boon though. Wears well, it's light, it's comfortable, I like the design, it's clean, it's legible, and I do like the taper on the rally strap. Not super huge quality on the strap, but it's alright. My problem is with the price. $400 for this one actually makes it $50 more expensive than the Sea-Gull 1963 without any of the history, without the story, and without the provenance behind it. Bit of a strange decision if you ask me, to make a watch using so many components and then charge more money for it than one with a bag of history and a real kind of kitsch appeal behind it. I mean, I still see this one as having appeals, not as an everyday watch. As I said, I think it does most things right and not much wrong, but I'd be much happier recommending it to you at $350 rather than $400. It would be a fair fight then as to whether you prefer the look of the original Sea-Gull or you prefer the slightly more modern look of this DL63 instead. So there you have it, the EMG DL63. I really like this one. I think it wears fantastically, and that column wheel Sea-Gull movement, you could stare through that unobstructed caseback all day long. It is a really, really attractive looking piece. If you want to venture into Swiss column wheel chronographs, then you better get your checkbook out. Only problem I see with the EMG is that its main competition is the Sea-Gull 1963, which is available for less cash featuring the same movement. Depends on your flavour though. If you want something a bit more modern, then the EMG still has a lot of appeal at the price. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.